Weeks ago, in Rochester, New York, the police there handcuffed a 9-year-old girl and put her in the back of a police car. This was last month, actually. And, I didn't talk about this news story when it came out. Honestly, it just slipped my mind. So much shit be happening to us that I didn't necessarily hone in on that one. But I'm bringing this story up today because reports have come out that, and this is something I've been telling you guys, right? Reports have come out that police officers and authority figures in general tend to treat young children, young black children, like they are adults. They have in this article that they treat young black girls like adults, but I would argue that they treat all young black kids like they're adults, right? And one of the statements that stood out when the officer was putting her in the back seat before they pepper sprayed her, because they pepper sprayed this young girl, right? Before they pepper sprayed her, he put her in the back seat and he actually said, shit ain't funny, man, but sometimes you gotta laugh to prevent from crying, right? So he said to the 9-year-old girl, "You're acting like a child," right? She had to tell him, "I am a damn child." You know what I mean? So this is just a microcosm of how our babies are viewed in this goddamn world. So let me read a little bit about this incident and the research they've done stating how black kids are treated, right? I thought it was pretty interesting. Now, black girls, and I think it's black boys too, actually, but it says black girls, researchers and advocates say, are often stripped of their innocence at a young age and perceived and treated like adults. The perception dehumanizes them and makes black girls targets of harsh treatment by police and severe disciplinary actions at school. Because we have to keep that in consideration. We've seen a few weeks ago when the officer, I think he was in Texas or wherever he was at, who slammed the young black girl in her face, right? So this is an idea. This gives us an idea of why stuff like that can happen, because this is a kid. No white man is going to slam a 16-year-old white girl or a 15-year-old white girl in their face. They're not going to do it. You know why? Because in their mind, that can be my daughter, right? That can be my niece, right? They don't see our kids the same way, family, and that's just the long and short of it. Now, a 2017 study conducted by the Georgetown Law Center on Poverty and Inequality found that black girls as young as age 5 years old are viewed as needing less protection and nurturing than white girls, right? This also goes to a few weeks ago when I was talking about the coronavirus and our fear of vaccines. Back in the day, there were studies that showed doctors felt like black people didn't feel as much pain as white people. You know what I mean? So we have a horrible system that has created all these ways to dehumanize us. And I think, for instance, when it comes like to police officers, right? I think, for one, police officers need to patrol the areas that they're from. I think that's one of the biggest problems. Because last week I was speaking about how, like, what we can do to find out what cops are racist, right? If you have a police force full of white officers, what steps can you take to see how they really feel about black people? So there needs to be shit happening, like, beyond like sensitivity training. You need to find out how you can actually, in my opinion, because people can lie or do whatever, but in my opinion, you can put together like a form where you can ask cops, you can figure out a way to ask cops how they feel about black people. And one of the telltale signs to me, if you have a white officer in any state in America and they've never been around black people, meaning the high school they went to was all white or predominantly white, elementary school predominantly white, all of the school systems they've attended was predominantly white, they had never really lived in a neighborhood that was integrated, right? These are telltale signs that they may look at us a particular way. So if you have a black or a white man who's never been around nobody black his entire life, right? And the only time he is to conduct himself with us is when it's time to discipline us, when it's some violence going on, or when it's a crime that's occurring, right? I'll be honest, that's a horrible position to put somebody in who already has all of these preconceived notions about a particular person. You know what I mean? So maybe what should happen, if you are going to have a white cop that's in an all-black neighborhood. And I've seen this before, but I don't know how serious they were about it. How about you take this cop and you put him in a black neighborhood, not when it's a crime happening, just create a weekend where y'all barbecuing, right? And every cop that works in this neighborhood has to come to the barbecue, right? Every cop that works in this neighborhood has to come to the barbecue. He has to interact with the children, interact with the people in the community. I think one of the biggest advocates for racism as far as socially is concerned, not us. People outside of our community aren't comfortable around us because they're never around us. They're never around us. And if you're a cop and the first time you're around black people is when some shit's popping off, you're going to be quick to pull that gun out. Like I was saying last week, how we act as black people, like being African people, we loud, sometimes we obnoxious, sometimes we moving around a lot. If you ain't ever been around us, you're going to feel like some shit about to pop off. You know what I mean? And most of the time it's not. We talking loud and shit. We ain't about to hurt nobody. But you don't know this if you've never been around us. So it's important. Yep. So it's important that you find a way to humanize yourself. Like all the shit that go on with these cops in our community, we need to be honest, family. These are race-based activities, right? So a part of me says, well, a large part of me says, you a racist white man, fuck you. Like, I don't got no time for any of that. If you can't educate yourself on the reality of who we are, because again, like I said last week, to hate somebody black, something got to be wrong with you, man. We've been the victims in this country, right? Name the last time you seen a mass shooting by somebody black, right? Do research on all the mass shootings, all fucking white men, right? So in actuality, you clutching your purse when you see me, I should be clutching my wallet. God damn it. I should be running away from you in actuality. Throughout history, we ain't really hurt nobody like that. You know what I mean? So the story I was just reading was about the Rochester police officer who pepper sprayed the 9-year-old girl. I love it too, Glenn. That pepper sprayed the 9-year-old girl, and they wrote an article about how young black people are criminalized and young black people are seen as adults in America. And I wanted to talk about this story because I've always been telling you guys that, right? Like that's a part of the problem in this country. In Rochester police, before I finish this article, they came under fire in May of 2020 for handcuffing a 10-year-old girl during a traffic stop, right? So a lot of times, you know what be happening, family? When we look at particular cops who have done us wrong, right? A particular cop who have done us wrong. Most of the time, if you look in this motherfucker history, he done did it before, right? He done did it 3, 4, 5 times, right? You see what I'm saying? So we live in a system, man, that I don't know how all of this is going to end. At times, I want to be as hopeful as possible about the future for my children and my grandchildren. But goddamn, man, I don't know. This country ain't trying hard enough to make changes, and that's my opinion. But what can we do as black folks? That always has to be your question, family. That always have to be your question. You're part of a race of people who have been disenfranchised, who have been stolen from their homeland. That's why I don't use African American or black. These are like social constructs. Melanin is the true source of who we are, right? Because in actuality, if you want to be technical, about what you are, they should have a box. When you filling out paperwork, they should have a box that says stolen African or unknown African, right? We don't know who the fuck we are, right? Let's look at it, man. Shit. My last name is Anderson. That's a white. Who is that? You see? So all of us should be crazy to a degree, right? When you look at how we treat each other in our community, like this system has done a number on us, but step back and look at who we are really. Asian people, they come from a home country. Arabian people, they come from a home country. All of these immigrants that have came here in the past 50, 60 years, all of them have a home country. All of them have said, where I'm living is so fucked up, I'm going to go to America for a better opportunity, right? That's been the case in this country. Not us. Not us. So we were a part of physically building this country. Physically, not just some chip. I'm saying we were a part of physically building this country and didn't get none of the rewards from it. None of it. And still get treated like shit. So we are rare. Like, we have a specific set of circumstances in this country, and all of us should be aware of that. You know what I mean? So in Rochester, I don't know what this police force is going to do. But again, talking about these issues, they're still investigating the cop that pepper sprayed the 9-year-old girl. You know what I mean? And like I was saying last week, if this 9-year-old girl's father chose to be on some vigilante shit and find the man or woman who pepper sprayed his daughter, could we be mad at him? You know what I mean? Like, man, who wants violence, right? Like, who wants a whole insurrection where it's hella violence and everybody dying? But what are we supposed to do? Like I said last week, violence begets violence. You can't get socked in your face and then move out the way. You can't get socked in your face and start crying. You can't get socked in your face and